Everyone relax. This is TOFOP. I'm Charlie Clausen.
I'm Wil Anderson.
I just felt like we should change it
Hello,
up.
and thank you for watching.
I'm sorry, not like that. I actually, was that, are you mocking me when you do that weird staccato? No, you're just trying something.
Oh, no, I was like, I started mocking you because you just said it in
I did
a weird
an
way.
aggressive way.
I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
it was something.
Everyone relax. I'm Charlie Clausen. It's like,
it didn't make me
it's
feel
like-
relaxed.
it was a statement.
I
made
feel
it
the
sound like
opposite of relaxed. I felt really unnerved, honestly, by what had happened. That's okay.
Yeah.
We're back. It's fine. We're relaxed.
We're relaxed.
Everything's fine.
In a weird way, like, look, everyone knows we're bulk recording.
Yes.
I have changed my outfit.
Charlie's
I've gone
changed
into
his outfit.
a longer sleeve, but I am strangely feel colder now that I'm in the longer. I was warmer in my Muji.
Again, let's not.
It's amazing, Will. I got to tell you.
Have you done a secret site with Muji and not told me about this sweet Muji money? Are you in the Muji moolah?
Muji Moolah. I want some Muji Moolah. Like it's. I wonder if, because we do endorse a lot of products. Like last year it was Donut King. They got a big plug. And can I say,
When we say endorse, for free,
yeah,
not like a paid endorsement.
no, we don't get paid by anyone.
By anyone.
No one, apart from you, dear listeners, the ones who support us on Patreon. We don't get paid by anyone. We do this out of. But this is what I mean, though. Like, if these brands were smart, they're like, this is a legitimate endorsement. Like, these guys love our product.
They love to endorse stuff.
Let's see how much we can get out of
Yeah.
them. Let's see what we can pay them to do.
So you're saying Muji?
Muji.
And my favorite water is Fuji.
Yeah.
Can we do a Muji Fuji?
Can we do a Muji Fuji la la?
We just need
That's
a
the
little-
what we want is sponsorship dollars. Muji Fuji la la. No,
What is that?
that'll be the jingle. We'll do that.
Okay.
Fuji la la.
All right.
Or Muji la la.
This is making me feel uncomfortable now.
Okay, so I won't do it anymore. But on the subject of donuts, so I was in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago now.
Melbourne, Australia.
In Victoria, the southern, what do they call it? The European city of Australia.
Sure.
Because Pink was in town and Iona wanted to see Pink. And I had an opportunity to take her to see Pink. She'd never been to a concert before. And I thought, this seems like a good entry-level like artist to go see. It's not like Slipknot. It's not Rage Against the Machine. It's not like anything I'd probably go see.
No. I mean, I would have thought that Pink seems like a great, kids' first concert to me, because I know nothing really about like what Pink is like in concert other than what you see anecdotally or just like whatever over the years. But you imagine there's acrobatics and like all sorts of like bright colors and big poppy songs, but like girl empowerment sort of 100%. Like vibe.
Yep.
So feels like a great first concert.
Well, I think you and I would probably have the same knowledge of Pink prior to me going to see Pink. And I know who Pink, of course I know who Pink is, and I've always liked Pink. Thinks she seems cool and stuff in all her interviews.
She seemed to have had a long association with Australia too.
Yes.
Rove knows Pink.
She addressed that in the concert. So anyway, we were generously offered these tickets, and it was standing room tickets, like in the front of the stage. And I sort of said to them, look, not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I said, I'm bringing my 4-year-old. I'm not sure how long she'll last. Is it possible to get a seat? Could we sit? And they're like, look, no, I don't think there's any seats. And I'm like, come on, like it's a bloody stadium. There's got to be at least one seat. When I got there was not one seat available. She is incredibly popular. And it's one of those things like, we talked about Robbie Williams a few weeks ago because I'd watched that documentary and I was aware of who Robbie Williams was, but I wasn't aware of like the fandom associated with Robbie Williams, just how huge he was as an artist. It was kind of similar where like all of Melbourne was having sort of Pink fever, and it did feel like it was in the wake of Taylor Swift. She would played Melbourne the week before. So it did sort of feel like, not that like, everyone had got a VHS player now, here's the Betamax, but it did sort of feel like, like it was like you got your you got your Coca-Cola and here's Pepsi. Like it was big, but not as big as the fervor wasn't as
the vibe would have been
nationwide.
very much, hey, could I have a Coca-Cola? And they'll be like, will Pepsi be okay? And you'll be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I guess if that's your
What are those
idea.
ones that they deliver to your door? The Lloyd's. I'll have a Lloyd's Cola, thanks.
No, but Pink was like, this is an interesting time for Pink to be here, really, because from what I know, again, without being
a pinkologist,
international listeners, like Aussies will understand this. But we've adopted Pink as one of our own. Like, we think she's one of ours. We do this in Australia.
She has a very Australian personality.
There's just something about her that we like and that we warm to in Australia. And she was, until Taylor Swift probably, I think, anyway, for a very long time, she was the top-selling artist of all in the world. At the height of, there was probably never another place.
What do you mean? In the world or in Australia?
So the point I'm trying to make is that she in other countries, she might have been like a top 5 artist or a top 10 artist. But here she was the number 1 artist that Australians went to see for a considerable period of time.
And she mentions that in the concert. She was like, thank God. It was because of you guys that the rest of the world were like, are we missing something here? Like, why is she so popular? And then Gemma was telling me, because Gemma had just read this book on the punk scene, and apparently like Australia broke Blondie in the same way, that Blondie were kind of known and had some hits, but then Countdown and I don't know which single it was, but we made the world go, hey, Blondie, you're okay, you know? Or ABBA as well. I think ABBA broke here first, or at least early.
The Dandy Warhols is a more contemporary one that I remember. Like the band, the Dandy Warhol, you know them, right? Like,
Bohemian like you, or me, or one of us.
Yeah,
one of us is Bohemian.
Bohemian like us.
Who's that guy? He's got a head on his head.
It was the one that was in all the car ads before the new Rembrandt.
That's right.
Was in all the car ads, and pretty, like, honestly, a good band and had some international success, but were one of those bands that were disproportionately like successful.
Yeah, and it's funny because we make fun of like Germany for loving David Hasselhoff or Japan for whatever, but we adopt and we love certain artists. So
Pink is definitely has been one of ours.
That's right,
and we're currently in the new era, like Taylor Swift eras, where the country has been captivated by Taylor Swift visiting Australia, and so for Pink to be here at the same time as this is kind of like. Well, yeah.
It's like our favorite aunt.
Yeah. So what's the vibe of that? I'm fascinated in.
I would say there's a lot of crossover for a start.
Yes, of course,
100%.
But is there a sense of that Pink is there in Taylor's shadow, or is there?
She brought it up. During the concert, she was like, she said, I understand. It's like it's Taylor's time right now, and that's cool because Taylor's a badass and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But she was. I mean, it was still 40,000 people Pink was playing to. Yeah. It was not like the MCG, but that's... But I mean, it's like football, right? Like Collingwood and Richmond play on the MCG and the Saints and the Bulldogs.
Right.
We'll take Marvel Stadium. So it's a similar thing. But the city was like awash with Pink. And it was funny because... So Iona, we'd shown her a bunch of Pink music videos. Yeah. And I don't think... Like, she knows what music is, but the whole concept of pop music and the imagery and all that kind of stuff, I don't think she'd really kind of like focused on. And so she did like a speed run of like every Pink music video. And then she's looked at me and she's gone, Dad, I want to sing a song. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, film me. I'm like, all right. So I get out my phone and she starts freestyling a song in the style of Pink. And she's like, but it was adorable because she's doing all like, she just seemed like Pink being all emotional and stuff. So she's like, she's manufacturing this emotion, and the lyrics are along the lines of like, I'm walking out the door and I'm saying goodbye and I love my mom. And I'm filming it. And it's been going for like 70 minutes. I'm like, and are you done? Oh, there's another verse. Okay, here we go. And so the day of the concert, we went out and we bought her a little, like, Mum said, she's got to get a party outfit. She's going to a party. So we bought her a little pink dress and a little leather vest we felt was very pink, like a leather biker vest to go with her pink tutu. And so on the way in, like, I was like, Jesus, this is fucking crowds. Like, getting in there was like really hard. And the demographic too was so broad.
I was
This is,
going
I
to say,
think,
what is Pink's audience?
everyone. Like everyone is a Pink fan. Like mainly, I would say suburban 30 plus, male and female.
Yep.
Like I was surprised by how many guys were there. I thought she'd have more females, but it seems to be, I would say it was a TOFOP split, very 50-50. I call that's now the official term for 50-50. It's a TOFOP split. But there weren't as many teen girls as I'd say Taylor. I think Taylor's captured the hearts and minds because she's a younger artist, right? So she'd probably have more.
Yes.
She's right. Like Pink's been around for a lot longer.
Oh,
am I right in saying
I mean, some of those like suburban 30 pluses were
the
teenage fans who were into Pink when Pink was, where Taylor was at. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think there's also like, because her music, like I was surprised by how many songs I recognized. Like the first kind of at least 10 tracks. I'm like, I've heard all of these songs.
Yeah.
But there is this kind of, it's sort of, it sits in between genres. It's kind of pop, rock, dance, so you're ticking off all the quadrants. And so there's something there for everyone. So we go to this little function before. Acrobatics was
she does do acrobatics.
She still does acrobatics.
She still does some like flying through the air sort of stuff. How does Iona feel about like this? Like, is this like blowing her mind, or is she?
So we get to there's a little function beforehand. So we bump into Rove and a couple other people we know, and they were like, "Oh, have you seen Pink before?" And I'm like, "Oh no." And they're like, "Oh, just wait." Like, she puts on a great show, and so we get to our seats and starts off with the fireworks and stuff. And it's actually, she's not doing super acrobatics at the start, but then she brings down the silks and starts doing like this sort of like, what's it called? Like a silk routine where you spinning around and stuff.
Yeah.
And so Ione was like pretty blown away by that. But then she had this, the actual staging wasn't enormous. It wasn't like a giant, it was like a pretty tight band, only like, 4 or 5 people in the band, and say 3 backup singers and 6 dancers who would come on off periodically depending on the genre of the song. But the thing that really stood out beyond all of the kind of pyrotechnics and the staging was Pink, like herself, like her charisma. That's the selling point.
Yes.
Beyond the music. Like she is so comfortable.
They're there to see Pink put on a show.
But
spend the night with Pink.
But even I was there to see Pink because she starts talking and she's talking to 40,000 people, but she's talking as if she's talking to you one-on-one. Like you just sort of, she's so comfortable up there. She's not like over projecting. She's literally just talking like a spoken word kind of thing. She's walking around and people are throwing her like presents and gifts on stage. And she's just taking the time and picking up each one and looking at it and talking, some Tim Tams and here's a koala backpack. And she's like keeping them all and like taking them back and putting them down. And so the whole time I'm like, there was at least a 10-minute period where there was no songs and there was no entertainment. It was literally just Pink, just being super confident and charming and charismatic, just walking around on stage and just sort of bantering with the front row. And just, I was like, this is what stardom is. Like, this is what like separates kind of your average
imagine
performer.
Someone's paid $200 for a ticket to your concert and still wants to bring you a present.
No. And kind of like, and there was at one point, she's talking and she was like, "Oh, are you okay? I think that person's in distress. That's not a happy wave." And the security weren't paying attention. And she's like, "Hello, hello." And she's gone over and she starts like yelling at the security guard. And I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, this is just it's almost like a meet and greet with 40,000 people.
That's right. And Pink will do some songs in between.
Yeah, she'll do some songs in between like the chit chatting.
Yeah.
So then, she goes through the whole, the what do you call it? The catalog of songs. And it gets to, what do you think her encore is? Or she didn't do an encore, but she did a closing number.
One of her songs?
Yeah.
I don't really know a bunch of Pink songs.
You've worked at Triple M, so you would know.
Yeah, I don't know if we played a lot of Pink.
Okay, so what?
So what? I'm a rock
star.
So
what?
Yep,
I am a rock star. So
yeah,
that's her big number.
Right.
So leading up to that, like it was all her old stuff. That the big hits. That's all up front. Then there's a bit of new stuff in the middle, like, as most bands do, like just tuck away the new stuff in the middle, and then close with a couple other recognizable songs. But she gets, as she's sort of getting to the end of the show, she gets into this harness, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then she launches into So What, and she flies up above the stage and is on this kind of 4-cable harness that can fly her anywhere around Marvel Stadium, but literally at high speed, like Superman. She's like flying over the top tiers of the grandstand and down into the crowd. And then there's these little podiums positioned around this, and she would stop on a podium and balance on one hand or stand on one foot. And I am like, this is fucking incredible. Like, this is the most amazing thing. And she's singing the whole time while she's doing it as well. I look over at Iona and she's just like, nah, like not impressed. And I'm like, dude, like this is setting.
She wasn't impressed.
I don't know that she wasn't impressed. She wasn't her mind wasn't blown away. And I'm like, you're going to be so disappointed.
Yeah. Well, because she has no standard for what it's meant to be.
No baseline.
So she doesn't realize that she's seeing something that's incredibly great, right?
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had no, I mean, also may being the time of night it was late and past her bedtime and
but
stuff
still,
like that.
someone flying around a stadium, even hearing you talk about it made me think, oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
Imagine finishing your show every night by flying.
Yes.
Like that's built into her night.
Well, it's also funny.
Even though I'm sure it's very dangerous and demanding, if you can do it, which she obviously can, because that's like a signature bit. Imagine that you've orchestrated. You go out, you have a bit of a town meeting with 40,000 people, make a heap of money. You sing all your favourite songs, and then just before you knock off home, you fly around the stadium
like
for
Superman.
a bit.
Like, it's amazing. And it did sort of make me think,
Pick up your pile of presents, and go home.
Like talk about like an influencer. Someone threw her a pack of double choc Tim Tams. And she's like, oh, what's this? I've never seen this before. Oh, amazing. I'm going to eat these tomorrow. You know what I did the next day?
Went and bought some double chocolate. Like,
because Pink said I should get some. But it did make me realize, like, you and I, the music that we gravitated towards in the era we grew up in was like grunge.
Yeah.
And that was all about rejecting, the artifice of performance. And it's about the music. And it's like, stare at your shoes while you play your guitar and stuff. And I'm like, part of me wishes like that we had like, what have I denied myself? Like, what kind of cheesy entertainment have I denied myself because of the idea of credibility? It's all about like, don't be fooled by bells and whistles.
Well, I mean, you have time. That's what getting older is for.
Yeah.
Like, getting older
Take yourself
is
seriously when you're young.
Yes. It's for not knowing what's good or bad anymore.
Yeah.
And so just be like, and not caring.
Yeah.
There's a point you get to where you're like, oh, I don't know if this person is like a good rapper or a bad rapper, and I'm not going to go and like Google what people think about whether they're a good rapper or a bad rapper. I like this song.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play it loud when I'm in my car.
And that's when you find out they're like a white supremacist or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be singing that. You bring up rappers, and that is for once, a good segue into what we're going to talk about, at least for part of this episode.
There's got to be a rapper called Segway, by the way, wouldn't there be? That's a great rap name, Segway.
Segway.
Because it can be spelled both ways, right?
Segway rolls.
Yeah,
but
there's also there's the segue, the use of language, the segue.
Yeah,
so
but do
as
you
a rapper,
change the spelling of it? Because rappers often change.
Yeah, well, the
segue.
The segue is the way that he raps, seg.
Yeah,
but also he's the master of the segue. So,
SEGWY, no A, segway.
Or UE, like
segway,
like
segway.
UE.
That's
how segway is spelled. So
yeah. Okay. How's segway spelled?
UE. WAA.
Is that right?
WAY.
It's not SEGWA. Oh, right, for the machine.
For the segue in conversation. UE. Is this good podcast?
Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mark's nodding, so
turning into a spelling bee.
Yeah. Okay. So this was sent by Sam.
Yes, Sam.
Who says, hello, gents. Rap beefs have provided some fantastic content for the pod in the past, but they've also mostly been historic with rappers from yesteryear.
True.
Because you're talking to a couple of old men here.
Yep.
Recently, I've been seeing a lot about a beef between Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion. And I thought, Who better to turn to get to the bottom of this new beef? Thanks for all the years of laughs and content. Now, do you know anything about said beef?
I don't really. Like, I am aware of the, like, here's how much I know. All the words you just said to me
You recognize.
made sense.
Yeah.
But if you asked me a follow-up question, I reckon I could have provided, if you'd said there's a current day rap beef, I
Yeah.
reckon I could have told you it was between Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay.
Here's what I could not have told you.
What?
Anything else other than that, I think.
I reckon I checked out of like my cultural relevance to music. As Nicki Minaj was arriving, I was probably being pushed out
Yeah.
of.
One in, one out.
Yeah, that's right.
You were the one who had the
So
lead, Nicki could come in.
I'm aware of who Nicki Minaj is. Megan Thee Stallion, I got to admit, I
Yeah.
don't. Did she didn't win the Hottest 100. That wasn't her, right? The Paint the Town Red. That's not. No, okay.
That's Doja Cat.
Okay, you are going to be you're going to be our source for all information on this subject.
Fabulous.
Because okay, so that's Doja Cat. Okay, so Megan
She
Thee
has
Stallion.
been in the Hottest 100 before.
Yes.
Can
So
you
she
give
did
us?
WAP
can
with
you-
Cardi B.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay. Oh, okay, I know
Yeah.
WAP. All right, good. So we have.
Right.
I have one cultural touchstone.
So this is me, and is she Megan Thee Stallion?
Yes,
Isn't
not
she
The
the-
double-
THEE.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
yeah. Okay.
Not the Stallion.
So look, I found an article. This is from
Yeah.
Vox, which just summarizes the beef. So I
Right.
thought we could get into it.
Yeah.
And then
No, that's great.
see where it
That's
takes
what we
us.
need.
Okay. Okay. So rap superstar.
I like to be up to date with
Beefs?
cultural events.
Well, the thing about rap beefs, right, is
Yeah.
that in the past,
Mhm.
it's always been good for both parties, right?
Well,
Like-
until they like murdered each other
well,
and stuff.
I mean, I'm not talking about real beefs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the
You mean
record company
pretend
beefs.
beefs.
Yeah, yeah, diss tracks.
Yeah.
Diss tracks are always
That's
good.
right.
The last diss track the last beef or diss tracks I
Mm.
listened to was when Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem had a little bit of Kill Shot and Rap Devil, I think was the last one I got into. But that seems like a bit of an unfair fight, right? Like if you're going to pick a beef, if you are a rapper the quality of Machine Gun Kelly going up against Eminem, that seems like you are slightly outmatched. The fact that he's shifted his musical style now into pop punk, I think maybe tells you what happened with that beef.
Well, yeah, but I think that that's part of what has made him successful is like a lack of self-awareness about his talent, Machine
Right.
Gun.
Right.
I think, like, I mean, he's almost successful despite the fact that, like, he has,
He's no
you know,
talent.
yeah, right?
Succeeded despite his
Yeah,
talent.
like, I mean, I think if he had much self-awareness around his own level of capacity, that he would have stopped well before.
He strikes me more as a 4-quadrant entertainer, which is like, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
If that's as an actor or a rapper
Or a partner.
punk, or a part of a celebrity
celebrity
couple. I think I
Or
saw him
for
pick a
just,
fight
like-
with Conor McGregor at one point. I'm like, this seems like a
Yeah.
bad
I
strategy.
don't know, like tattoo my entire upper body black.
Yeah.
I believe I saw photos of that.
Yeah. Okay, so this article from Vox this
Okay,
is by
rap beef.
Kendall Cunningham, which sounds made up.
It does.
Rap superstar Megan Thee Stallion is embarking on a new independent era. It's the era of eras, Will. Following a long legal battle with her former record label and the trial of her former associate Tory Lanez for shooting her in the foot. I do remember that incident.
Okay, so she had an associate who shot her in the foot.
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion got shot in the foot.
I mean, there must have been so many
It was
jokes.
her partner at the time, I believe. Megan was dating Tory Lanez, and
Oh.
it was a whole thing where people did
Shot in
not
the
believe
foot.
her and came after her on Twitter, and then he got found
hang
guilty.
on, did not
very
believe
recently.
that she had been shot in the foot.
Or was she shot in the hoof?
Oh, come on. You can't do that. You can't. Stallion is a name. Makes
Sorry, continue.
can't.
Yeah, but people, I don't know, didn't want to believe her. Well, also because then Tory Lanez would have denied it, so then his
Right.
fans
Okay.
were saying that it didn't happen.
Sure.
So he's a producer or a rapper himself?
He's a
or
rapper
both?
as well,
Okay.
Yeah.
but
All right.
nowhere near as successful as Megan is.
Okay.
No.
Is it Megan? Am I? Or is
Megan.
that the American pronunciation? Megan.
Megan.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay. Megan seemed poised to turn her traumatic experiences into a compelling, emotionally raw album with an accompanying tour in the works.
Okay.
But first, she had some beef to settle, or maybe not, with her fellow MC and now rival, Nicki Minaj.
Mm-hmm.
Last Friday, Megan dropped her latest single, Hiss, in which she takes shots at several unnamed targets. Aside from the general crowd of online haters, fans have linked some of her jabs to Drake and her ex-boyfriend, rapper Partisan Fontaine. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
I don't know that person, so your guess
Okay.
is as good as mine.
Good. However, one particular lyric, "These hoes don't be mad at Megan, these hoes mad at Megan's law," stood out. It references the federal law requiring information about registered sex offenders to be publicized, which seemed to strike a chord with Minaj. Her husband, Kenneth Zupetti, is affected by this legislation. He's a level 2 registered sex offender in the state of New York. A few days later, the super bass singer counteracted with a diss track. Although she criticized pop bass on Twitter for, it says X, but I'm going to call it Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. Take that, billionaire, for calling it that. And it was titled Bigfoot. Despite the song racking up millions of views and streams, it has largely been received poorly by critics and social media users across both Megan and Minaj's fan bases. It feels like a turning point in Minaj's career as one of the most respected female rappers in the game. So what started the beef, Will? Take a guess.
Okay. So, Jesus. So much already to deal with is because that does feel like that is a pointed line,
Yes.
right? Like because
The Megan's Law one? Or
the Megan's Law
yeah.
one. It does feel like it was a pointed line. Nicki Minaj. How are her? I mean, did they work together on something? Was it a fallout in a collaboration of some kind?
They did work together.
Yeah.
Okay, so Minaj and Megan weren't always on bad terms. In 2019, they collaborated on Megan's single Hot Girl Summer and filmed a music video just in matching outfits and wigs.
Yeah.
During the song's release, the two appeared on Instagram Live together, and Megan gushed about Minaj on Twitter. In light of recent events, a user replied to Megan's post warning her that this piece ain't gonna last has gone viral. So someone read the tea leaves, knew a beef was coming. It seems that this intuition was spot on. So it's unclear when things turned sour between the former acquaintances. Many have speculated that Minaj took issue with Megan's collaboration with Cardi B on WAP.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Because they don't get along. So
Okay.
because I think there's a bit of now. Again, I might be completely wrong on this, but I'm going to wade in with a little
Yeah,
bit
I
of
love
a. I think I know something about this.
You
which-
can fact check if
Yeah.
we get it completely wrong.
Well, I think that like Nicki thinks that Nicki was the original Cardi
B.
and then Cardi B's come along.
But
and-
wasn't Little Kim the original Nicki Minaj?
Oh yeah, but that's like that old thing on The Simpsons. If you're anyone but blah blah blah, you're stealing this bit. You know?
Yeah, that's right. The pair collabed most famously on WAP and more recently on Bongos. Minaj previously sparred with the Bodak Yellow rapper after both featured on Migos 2017. It's like could be reading like a completely different language. Migos 2017 song Motorsport, which escalated into a physical altercation. However, in a November 2020 interview, Megan claimed that her relationship with Minaj hadn't changed despite her affiliation with Cardi. Excuse me. By January 2021, Minaj had unfollowed Megan on Instagram. She also released the track Seeing Green, which has a line about alcoholics that is speculated to be about Megan.
See, that one feels a little looser.
Well, Megan is
okay.
known for a signature party trick in which she pours alcohol into women's mouths.
Okay,
But that's not
doesn't
her
make
being
you an
alcoholic.
alcoholic. That's the opposite. That's
What if is there a term for someone who makes someone an alcoholic?
oh, absolutely. I imagine they're
Husband.
probably is. an enabler.
Yeah, enabler.
Yeah,
right,
but if you're pouring alcohol in other people's mouths first and foremost, I think that it's
But
a
you
good
can paint
bold,
them under the same. You could,
It's a good bold strategy
but don't you
to
think
hide your own drinking. I guess is constantly pouring alcohol in other people's.
if you have a
mouths.
line about alcoholism
Yeah.
though, and your party trick is
Yeah.
to be giving it, you're broadly criticizing.
That's not how
drinking
alcoholics drink, though. Not to make light of that, but like that's a party vibe. That's not like whenever you see some footage of alcoholics, they're not like lining up at a bar having Megan the Stallion.
No, but
drinks in their mouth.
if you are criticizing drinking culture,
Yeah.
that is, you would call them alcoholic. That's alcoholic
Oh,
behavior
okay.
without being technically
I
correct.
mean,
You know what I mean?
It doesn't feel specific enough, that one, to me.
Okay, all right. The following
That
year,
could be general. You're in the music industry. Like there's
this is
alcohol
how,
everywhere.
like, if beefs were a legal thing, this is how you and I launch our defense. The following year, Minaj went on her Beats One show, Queen Radio, to air out an anonymous celebrity who allegedly tried to pressure her into drinking while she was pregnant with her child. This is Minaj saying this. She also claimed that this person advised her to go to the clinic. After the broadcast, Megan called the allegations a lie. Minaj seemingly struck at the Grammy winner again on her 2023 single, Ruby Red de Sleaze,
Okay.
with the line, "I don't fuck with horses since Christopher Reeves." Which is pretty damn, I mean, that's a fucking good line. Like, I mean, there's so much going on in there. Like, wow. A bar on the song FTCU.
That one I will take.
Yeah.
That one where Your Honour.
Yeah. The alcoholics one was a bit like grey area.
As our little legal firm where we defend
Rapper beefs.
rapper beefs. I'm going to have to concede that
Anderson
one
and
was
Clausen Associates.
rapper beefs.
Yeah. We specialise in defending rappers from beefs. A bar on the song FTCU,
Yes.
Stay in Your Tory Lane,
Yeah.
has also been interpreted as a head on Megan. Well, that's pretty, like, explicit, right? Stay in your Tory lane.
In your Tory lane because
Yeah.
of Tory
Yeah.
lane.
Specifically, her highly publicised trial.
I mean, that one does feel like it's
Well, that's literal.
just literally saying what
Yeah.
the thing is. It's not really a mystery to be solved, that one, I think.
However, the release of Hiss on January 26th of this year escalated a simmering, somewhat forgettable beef to another level.
Okay.
The Megan's Law line sent the internet into a tizzy.
Oh, no.
Now, can I just, little editor's note, before we started recording this episode, Mike and I were talking about this subject, and you were like, "Pff, pff, this is old hat. Like, this is done and dusted." I was panicking a bit because I'm like, well, you know, the whole point of reading this was like a topical beef. But you were saying that this is old news?
Only as a person who's like chronically online and on Twitter,
Right.
that it's
Where
something
news
that
changes
has,
every 24
yeah,
hours,
like
right.
I guess it just sort of, it hasn't been resolved or like gone either way. Like they haven't
Okay.
made up or it hasn't kept going. So people have just sort of stopped
Well,
talking
that's-
about
This
it.
is modern times, Charlie.
Yeah.
Things just
Dog
flare
years.
up for a couple of days
Yeah.
and then
It's just, no,
everyone just moves on.
moves on.
And there's
Don't
no
worry about it.
follow-up about it. And the thing that we were also worried about last week.
The dress
nobody-
is blue. The dress
Yeah.
is blue.
Can you understand? I can't even remember that thing you're talking about because there's been 3 things since then.
The Megan's Law line sent the internet into a tizzy, with listeners immediately connecting the lyric to Minaj's spouse. When Minaj reconnected with her high school boyfriend in 2018, fans quickly discovered his criminal history, including in 1995 a conviction for the attempted rape of a 16-year-old girl. Since then, Petty's victim has been vocal about the threats she's received from the couple. Well, that's bloody charming. Over the weekend, Minaj took several digs at Megan, mocking her assault by Lanes and even her mother, who passed away from brain cancer in 2019. I thought the Christopher Reeve line was pretty
Nicky,
harsh.
Nicky.
Many of these remarks ended up on Bigfoot, the title being a jab at Megan's tall frame, which was released on Sunday night. In the roughly 4-minute track, Minaj recycles online conspiracies and negative comments surrounding Megan's trial with Lanes and references her deceased mother multiple times. 3 minutes in, the music drops out and Minaj goes on an ASMR-style rant, promising a second installment. Despite its provocative lyrics, the song has yet to elicit a direct response from Megan. Have you heard his?
I have. I would say I'm probably a bigger Megan Thee Stallion fan than a Nicki fan. I have a lot of friends who are big Nicki fans, but she's also someone who is like and Azalea Banks, where her Wikipedia is just full of like beefs that she's had with various other celebrities.
I watched a documentary on Nicki Minaj once that was like, she went to the Fame School in New York. Like, she was an actor or studying to be an actor. Like this, her Barbie persona, the whole thing, like it's something that she's created and now like occupies. But like, she was like a theater kid, and now she's like making songs about people's dead mums and stuff.
No, well, she warned us. First things first, she'll eat our brains. No, her verse on Monster, that Kanye West song, is like one of the best late rap verses of all time. It's like brutal. It's incredible. But she seems, I mean, look, anyway.
I mean,
Who knows? But there seems to be some.
Okay, is this?
I hope everyone's okay.
Is this the feud that fans want?
No.
As rap becomes an increasingly dominant force in mainstream culture, beefs have evolved into highly anticipated spectacles. The results can range from shockingly amusing, like Pusha T exposing Drake's secret son. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, I mean, Drake had a secret son and Pusha T
Exposed it. To deadly, like the East Coast, West Coast rivalry of the 90s, most famously. Regardless, there's a level of novelty required to keep the public enthralled. In their best iterations, beefs are exercises in myth-making, an opportunity for each rapper to reach legendary status or reaffirm the power. In the case of Minaj versus Megan, though, the novelty aspect is missing. Right, okay, there's nothing fun about this.
No.
The apparent digs at each other are built upon information the fans are already well aware of.
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing news being
So we
revealed.
need some secret sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a little bit more vague.
That's right.
know.
Because I think about that Machine Gun Kelly Eminem beef, and Machine Gun Kelly has a whole line in it about how Eminem called his record company to say drop Machine Gun Kelly or whatever it was, because he made a joke about wanting to date Haley when she was old enough or something like that. And that was meant to be like the secret. And then Eminem responded and said, I never fucking had that conversation. Like, what are you talking about here? What are you like? I mean, not like that.
Be great.
What are we even talking about here?
Be great if that's how one rapper like responds to beefs. One does a big call out and the other one's just like, well, actually,
I never said that. That's
that-
incorrect.
that
That, I believe,
is a misrepresentation.
I will not stand for such slander. You, sir, have offended me. And I shall not stand for it. I say good day to you, sir. Good day. On one hand, this has been received well online by Megan's fans and general listeners. As of publication, 5 versions of the song occupy top 10 spots on the iTunes charts.
Okay.
In addition to the track topping the Apple Music Top 100 charts. This is how out of touch I am. You can have 5 versions of the same song on the charts. We're looking at you, young person. Answer us.
Well, I'm unaware of this as well. I assume it must be like remixes or like, I guess the huge
Remixes.
thing now also is the sped up versions. Is
What?
like, which I've
What's
only
that?
noticed well, it's a big TikTok thing, is that songs will go viral on TikTok, but they're like sped up versions of the regular songs. And now artists, I noticed recently with the SZA song, she released the single and then it had like an a cappella version and then a sped up version just like released already on Spotify.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Can't
Because
you just-
everything
because
is
the
like quicker
videos
now.
are
The
really
videos,
quick.
they speed it up for the
listen.
video.
You can listen to it on high speed. Like, why do you need to like it released at high speed?
Because like everyone's getting quicker and quicker. We need everything to be quicker and quicker.
So, but then the TikTokers take the sped up version and speed it up again. Like, is this some kind of
No,
parlor
so
game?
it's like a
they sped it up again,
retroactive
and then
thing.
they sped it up
So
again,
Till
and
it
then they sped it up
explodes,
again, and
till
then
your
sped it up
phone
again, and then sped
explodes.
it up again.
We're gonna rip a hole in the time.
Yeah.
I look. This is. I have to check out. I don't know what's going on anymore.
it's something that artists are doing now because of
Yeah.
TikTok, basically.
Because of TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok,
But I
mate.
would
So-
say part of it is probably just features or remixes or things like that.
That
There are
makes
different
sense, though, right?
versions.
Because the best thing that could happen
Censored
for your
version.
single is a TikTok video explodes and your track
Mm.
was used. So that's what you're hoping for, right? Let's release a sped up version of whatever it is, and then some influencer planks. Do people still plank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the number one thing on TikTok is planking. the popular, ever popular.
eat a pod and plank. Bath, what is it? Bath salts and pods and planking.
I have another answer for you as well for the 5 versions. Part of it is that they will have explicit and clean
explicit
versions.
and
So
clean,
that's
yes.
already 2 versions there.
That's back in the old man days. They used to do that as well.
That's
Remember
right.
that? You get a parental explicit like on NWA albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Be careful. Race, there's some swears in this.
I mean, there's heaps of swears.
Heaps of swears.
There is heaps of swears.
Have you heard of the F and the S word?
Yeah, but also the N word.
Oh, yeah,
like
lots of that. It's actually the name of the band, believe it or not. Wait till we tell you what NWA stands for. It's not Narang Women's Association, I'll tell you that much.
They say that.
It takes up the entire warning.
Just let guy freestyle. What do you think's I mean, it's actually pretty good, but there's some fruity language.
I did read an article not long ago about like 10 things that you'll no longer find in popular music, and it was talking about that. Yeah, they're trying to compress songs like tighter and tighter and tighter. So there's no solos anymore. Like you don't hear instrumental solos in songs. And it's like, that's a shame. Like I used to love like when, someone would whip out like Slash to do like a guitar solo or something. But it's like, we don't have time for that shit. Got to get on TikTok.
It'll come back though.
Do you think it will?
Yeah, because we can't. It's like iPhone sizes. Sometimes it's good that they're small and then they're big, and none of us have ever worked out why one's better than the other or vice versa. We just go through trends and times when we will get so small and so like that we will crave things that are longer again, or that those solos will be repurposed in 18-minute like saxophone like tracks on some trance thing that someone listens to while they're doing DMT.
Just the saxophone solo from Baker Street just on loop.
Yeah, exactly.
It did actually make me think at that Pink concert, because obviously there's been heaps of talk. You see that so some AI company who released a bunch of 1-minute videos showing how far the technology's come in the last year. Like you remember the Will Smith eating spaghetti, and so from that to now, it's like, I mean, it's photorealistic. It's insane. Yeah. It's only a minute, but obviously it's going to. So my job's fucked. Anyone who creates images for a living is fucked. Design fucked. Architecture fucked. Lawyers, accounting, all fucked. But then live performance. I'm like, people still want to. You're okay because you can keep doing stand. We can keep doing stand up. People are going to want to see live shows.
Are they?
Aren't they?
I don't know.
Now you make me doubt it. There's 40,000 people at Pink. People still want to see live shows.
I want to see Pink and Taylor Swift.
Well, I think as long as you can, as it's original and it's live, people will want to see it.
But you think that, I mean, again, like we're about to just get into this world where, like you said, all these things are so easy for people to do that even when they've been done by hand, like I think James Fosdyke, who does all our original artwork, sometimes people undervalue, I think, the work that he puts
including me. Well, I'm like, can you get this done in 2 days? And he's like, no, Charlie.
But there's a lot of work that goes into everything that he does for us. But like people sometimes, I think, ascribe it to being, AI or computer generated in some way because they are just used to things being able to be done that way now. So even if you're not doing something that way, people kind of devalue it because they know it could be done more easily regardless. So I do think that.
Or maybe there'll just be a split. There'll be there may be just a generation like, Ionas or the next generation after that who are just like, we want to consume everything online. Why would you want to go out into movie going has sort of become like that. Yeah. Like the experience for some people of going to the cinema is fucking gross. Like, why would I want to go into a room filled with strangers who are coughing and eating and, checking their phones and shit? I can't concentrate. I'd rather just stay at home where I'm comfortable, watch it on my big TV with surround sound. Like that is how I want to consume my movies. But that's just a generational or an attitude thing, right? So maybe it's subgenres of entertainment. Live will be not as big as it was, but it'll still exist.
I mean, I don't look. He.
Will's just sighing for anyone who's
I'm
what's going
just
on.
wondering if
Pensively sighing.
we're too quickly done with the world, if you know what I mean. Like that we are so quickly going to be done with truth and being able to create things by hand as human beings and be part of the world on like the planet and world in which we live, that we seem to be so quickly pushing
Accelerating
ourselves
towards oblivion.
this world that changes everything that it is to be a human being so just demonstrably.
In one go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the new South Park episode? The one that
No.
I mean, they're brilliant, obviously, but the premise is like AI is obviously taking over everything. And so the only occupations of value anymore are like trades or people who work with their hands and do things, because everyone else is become so reliant on AI. We've all forgotten how to change light bulbs and stuff. So the new Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos has become like tradies. And so they're turning up at like, Home Depot car parks, and there's just like lawyers and accountants there holding up signs, like looking for work, and like get in the back of their ute. We've got some work for you. They're flying around in like private jets. And it's like, I feel like, because Gemma and I watched this AI video and we're like, oh, it'll be only a matter of time. Like advertising will be all AI soon, especially like things like beauty, modeling.
I mean,
you can create models with perfect kind of like
especially
proportions.
Advertising.
Yeah. Because it's so expensive to make
that's the
commercials.
one and it's the one where they care less about artistic integrity.
Yeah.
It's absolutely going to go for advertising first, because they don't have those same artistic and ethical framework through which they view often what it is they do. Some people will still go to the effort of doing it in a realistic way, but so much of that other advertising will be absolutely made up of.
Well,
And it's such a different direction from what the old days of advertising that you hear about from people who are in the industries, where it was like, we're going to shoot this in Berlin.
That's right. We're at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Right, yeah.
People dancing on the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that will definitely go. But even there's an article in the Hollywood Reporter, Tyler Perry, the actor, he has his own studio, and he was just about to spend $800 million building new sound stages and stuff. But then he got a presentation from an AI company, and he's like, I don't need to build sets anymore. I don't even need to have two actors in the same room anymore. Like I can literally shoot them in two different places and I can composite them at the same time. He was saying it as a warning, not that I'm going to do it, but it's like he said, we need more guardrails, because what they showed me was so terrifying, and they can do it so easily. Like it's only going to take one studio to look at the profit margins and go like, well, why would we ever employ anyone again? Like we don't need gaffers, we don't need grips, we can have perfect weather conditions. You need a snowstorm, you need this, you need that. It's all going to happen. So what are we doing? So is the answer that we just accept the onslaught of AI and what it's going to do to most professions, and then just install universal basic income? Because we've built this capitalist society which requires we work for money, which we then use the money to put back into the economy, and that's how we keep everything going. But I feel like it's not going to happen. I feel like there's going to be 4 companies who are like, we're going to make all the money, and you're all fucked.
And what gives you that impression? The fact that that's how things always work?
Go, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But there have been there are it's always Scandinavia, like Scandinavian towns that have trialed universal basic income and found it's worked. But it's just like, look at the way we tried to respond to COVID. We couldn't get any consensus on this thing that is like, the facts are kind of indisputable. Like, sure, there's kind of stuff we're learning about it that's new information and stuff, but we just couldn't agree. Or climate change, like we can't agree on that. So how the fuck are we going to agree on this?
How are you doing? You okay?
I started thinking about what else I can do.
Oh my God.
Like what other skills I have.
I mean, I agree with everything that you've said, by the way. Like I'm not.
It's terrifying though. It's happening so
terrifying.
fast.
And when you hear it all in a row, I realize when I hear you say that back to me, how annoying I am at parties. Because That is exactly what I am like all the time.
Yeah.
You've caught me. Like, that's what I always am like. I'm like, what are we doing? Yeah, fucking. We've already apologized on this podcast for the fact that, like, you know, when we first started doing it, we said that there should be more superhero movies and they should be in a multi-universe. But the thing that I do not apologize for is my simplistic take on these threats of AI, because I do believe that my worry is, as it has always been, we've seen it already with social media. We've got an example of how this plays out. They sell us all the benefits. You know, we're going to cure all these diseases. We're going to do all these sort of things.
Connect the world.
They get us all to test it for free. They get us playing with ChatGPT and, you know, helping them program their fucking things. It all expands exponentially. It only benefits a small handful of people, and the rest of the people around it are grifters. And then there are demonstrable ills that eventually come from it that we haven't even contemplated at this stage. That by the time we are seeing the ramifications of them, things have moved on so much that there is no way of repairing or getting back to what we had in the first place.
I think that's the scary part, though, is that it's the changes are happening so quick and in such giant leaps that even if you're a fucking like computer engineer or an expert, you can't even keep up. Like, how is the average person meant to understand
the thing, right?
where
Like,
this is all going?
This is where you go, am I just an old person complaining that things were, you know, like, I'm scared and I'm old and everything's speeding up too much, and has this, you know, like, because you don't want to be that person.
No.
But I don't think this is that.
No.
Because the speed of evolution of these technologies is advanced to a level where our capacity to have a conversation around what the ramifications of them are, it can't happen at the same speed as the technologies evolve. So it's always one of those things where we're just going to get further and further behind.
This is the plot of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. The AI. The AI is already one step ahead. It knows we're having this conversation.
Of course, but I mean, it is.
Yeah, I've got this mate.
All my stuff's already on the public record. When it comes to me first. I'll know day one.
I have a mate who made quite a bit of money in his previous occupation, and so he's sort of now retired, and he's bought a big bit of land, and he's teaching himself how to be a farmer. And I'm like, oh, that's, you know, what a beautiful thing to do, like just to take all your money and invest it in the land. He's like, no, like, because the end of the world's coming. Like, we need to learn how to grow our own food and have your own water supply and stuff. He's like, this is, for him, it's very much a kind of next stage of life. It's like you just want to have some surety and some security around things.
Maybe that's why I've become more interested. I've noticed that I've been asking my brother and my father more questions about the farm.
Can I come back? I will milk some cows. Let me back.
Teach me how to do it.
But it's true. But that shit is going to be the most valuable commodity. And it's just, I don't.
Maybe I'll go back and because like technically, and again, I hope this is in a very long time, but let's just speculate hypothetically for the sake of this timeline. Say we accelerate. So my dad's 80 now. My mum's, you know, like in her 70s, right? So let's go forward 25, 30 years. Like, they've both lived very good lives, but maybe, you know, it's like that sort of, you know, time. The world has advanced 20 or 30 years as well. And I myself am like, you know,
now
70, 80, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so that's what age I am. But there's this piece of land that I have, you know, back in the country. Do I go home and like
at the age of 70, just
defend
relearn?
like, you know, just like 80 years old?
Do you reckon you could pick up, is anything dormant in your
I
subconscious?
don't think so.
No.
I think I'd have to start now. Like if I
To
thought
be
to be
surviving
ready
in
for
30
80,
years.
like, you know, to be ready for the plan, I think this would be the latest I could possibly make the decision. So if I see it going that way, that there's some value in me having my own land and like building it, it should be a decision that I am making right now. I should be going, enough of this nonsense, enough of coming into this bloody studio and talking to you about these bullshit things that don't matter to the world. I'm going to go home. I'm going to beg forgiveness of my father and my brother.
The prodigal son.
I am the prodigal son. I will return. I will take my small piece of land and I will build myself.
I think it's not a bad plan,
right?
to be honest. But
It's not the worst
fucking
plan.
cold in Gippsland.
I mean, I mean, the weather is
colder
getting
in the
more
pits of hell.
unpredictable. Cold might be something that we're looking for in
Can
like
I come?
5, 10 or 15 years.
Keep doing the show from your farm?
Do you reckon we should Joe Rogan it?
What do you mean?
Well, like get the land, like get
like
a
how
bit
he
of a
moved-
compound,
yes.
and like I'll put in
Bit of
like
warehouse.
people can come and like Dave Chappelle
Fire,
style come and do
flamethrowers
gigs in
and-
the
Yeah.
right? yeah,
I don't think it's a
like
bad
a
idea.
libertarian paradise.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Except we're not libertarian.
no, but like a cool take on
A
but
lefty,
also
lefty paradise.
a lefty / but you can also fire some flamethrowers.
Yeah. And do some archery. Yeah, I think that could be the part. I mean, in all honesty, like, it's too late for me. Like, you at least have access to land.
Mm-hmm.
So I either have to, because I was like, even, like, I saw an ad online, like photographers, their job's gone. Like, headshots and stuff can all be AI now. You scan your face, the AI can create you a perfect headshot. I even saw an ad for, like people get like boudoir photos taken, and it's like a woman submitted like just an ordinary photo of herself, and the AI sent her back like 10, she's been photoshopped, and it looks like her. It doesn't look artificial. It looks like she's, this like a Victoria's Secret model. So it's like, we're all going to be living in this world where no one's truly themselves. Everyone's got this image that has been, there'll be real time silking that you can do on a video call. So it's like,
Okay, so when you can't trust if anything's real anymore again,
it's post-truth society.
we only had truth for such a little amount of
So
time.
barely any
A
time at
precious
all.
little amount of time. And then we were like, we're done with that.
Yeah.
It feels like to me, like, and I mean, people, this wouldn't surprise people, like, based on all the sort of style of work that I've done in my life. But like, truth just feels like such an important principle. Like, I've always like tried to talk about like wrestling with the idea of what is true, or like how we're being misrepresented, or like what the nature of truth is, or how you can even judge the nature of that truth. And now, like, we're about to, it just feels like if we're not in it already, like this post-truth society, we've certainly been like, dipping our toes in the shallow end of it. Like, we've already entered the water. It just is now, how deep into this water are we going to get? You already can't trust. There are effective deep fakes of, like news footage and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And because just of the amount of information there is, there's not enough in real time fact checking going on that, like, so you can misrepresent things. You don't need the most sophisticated of all technology to actually misrepresent things anyway. How do you verify anything if you see some video that, like, has been AI created or is deepfake or whatever, and then you go, oh well, I'll Google it to see, and they've just bought all the optimized search engines, and like the article you click through to is by the same AI that built the fucking video that you.
Yeah.
How do we go back to knowing what's true anymore
Well,
again?
you just got to assume that nothing's true.
Oh, great.
In a
That'll be great.
post-truth society, nothing is true.
Nothing is true.
Because
So what effect does that have on our society if nothing is true?
anarchy, it's the purge. You don't have to, there's no consequences.
So anyway, is this all good stuff that we're rushing ourselves towards? Does this feel like we're in a good place to...
I don't know.
Amy,
Yeah.
you're young.
Yes.
How do you feel about this stuff? Like, does this sound like two old people just not understanding
Hang
what
on,
the world is like?
can we just clarify? Do you remember a world pre-internet or not?
I have lived in, like, yes. I'm 26.
No, that's young.
But I
So
I
not
know that's
really.
it's not really pre-internet,
You were
but
born
pre
around the
everyone
internet. Yes.
always having internet all
Yes.
the time. I grew up with long stretches of time where we didn't have internet at home or a computer in the
Yes.
house. But I definitely agree that we're moving at a pace that seems way too quick, that if like lawyers and all of these, like, that important people can't keep up with, like,
Architects.
whether the president
doctors.
really said something or
our listening, so many people in the medical community, but they're already having like robot surgeons who they're doing trials which are incredibly accurate and precise. They don't get fatigued. They don't get emotional. Like, we're all going down. And there's nothing. We've just got to start throwing AI into the river, like the e-bikes. Just
with
got to
every
throw them in the river.
invention that has a positive impact, there seems to be about 5 to 10 negative impacts that it could have.
Yes, I mean, this is the point, right? Like,
Mm.
is they sell us on what the good side of this is going to be, and they don't sell us on the negatives consequences of it.
But
And
are
then,
they selling us on the good side? Because the only chat you hear about it is it's like this is going to devastate like industries.
no, I don't think that's. I think that's really specifically what you're hearing about it. All I hear is, I hear a lot of techno optimism from people. You know,
Really?
people are going, "Oh, I did this thing on GPT. Here's what I'm doing on blah blah blah. I'm getting AI to build this for me." Or like, for everyone who works as a like photographer or whatever, there's the other side of that equation, which is the person who was going to pay someone
yeah.
for those photos,
Right.
who suddenly is like,
The
"Oh,
consumer.
you know what? I can actually do my own comedy festival poster this year and actually do it really well, like without having to employ a graphic designer and having to employ a photographer and put all these upfront costs for what it is that, you know, I'm going to do." So, like, I don't think that there is. And the other thing is that most of the positive story gets pushed out by people who have the money and have the resources, you know. And when you hear the negative pushback, I mean, the problem is that the people who are going to be in charge of it are the same people who are in charge of the internet,
Yeah.
and they're no good.
No.
Most of the people in charge of the internet are no good.
Do you know who Jacques Fresco is? Have you heard of Jacques Fresco?
He invented outdoor dining, right?
Yeah, it's got a chain of pasta restaurants. No, he's a futurist and I guess like a philosopher or whatever. But he's sort of he has always talked about like the faults of capitalism and where it's leading us is like we should really be basing a society on a resource based economy, which is like, well, what do we have and what do needs, you know, what do people need and what do we have?
Yeah.
And that's the value of your economy is based on kind of your access to water and food and agriculture and all that kind of stuff. And he's been saying for like 30 years, it's like this march towards, you know, more strident forms of capitalism that sort of pillage the earth and disenfranchise groups of people. It's all going to reach ahead. And he was not even talking about AI. He was just simply talking about just meat and potatoes capitalism, like old school, like miners and developers and all that kind of stuff. Like this is that on steroids, you know. Is there any way, like, if you take away the profit motive, which is what is firing all this up, like if there was a magic wand where money disappeared, then is AI a good thing? Like, can AI be used only for good? Because the issue
if you
is
take
the
away
profit
the
motive.
profit motive, right? Because of course that's the issue. Like, scams are always in the old days, it used to be the porn industry that was the early adopters of all the technology. These days, it's scams. Yeah, they're the first people who work out, oh, we can use, this like voice technology to be able to like scam your bank account or scam you for a call or whatever it might be. Like the amount of like emails and phishing and all those sort of things that you're going to get that are all because of AI. And
oh my God, yes.
so it's the bad actors, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that these tools can be used by bad actors is always the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the technology itself that is, good or bad. It's just the fact that that it's going to be used by bad people to do bad things. And even at the level it's already at, people are getting ripped off all the fucking time.
So take money out of the equation and no one can get ripped off.
That's right.
But how do we do that? This is my communist manifesto.
Yeah, it's good that we've started with pink and moved all the way to red. So,
I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Let's get to some mail.
this is TOFOP, by the way. This is TOFOP, the podcast that takes you from pink to Megan the Stallion
and finishes in
then,
bone-chilling accounts of AI destroying the world.
yeah.
Okay, if you want to get in contact with us, you can. Everyonerelax.co is the website. And if you want to speak to us, you just fill out the submission form like Shavi has done. Wants to know about the Wick format. Hey, guys, just wanted to ask if you have any insights into AI. into John Wick-like films that weren't as big of hits. I know I've got a major John Wick vibes when I watched Nobody, which was definitely a post-Wick production, but was a movie like The Equalizer as well received. I'm watching Threequalizer at the moment, so I suppose it had some success. But is old badass retired guy kills a bunch of assholes almost a genre now? Yeah, I mean, it's been a
Yes.
genre for a while. I think Liam Neeson
lives
lives off that genre.
Yeah, but I mean, Taken originally, and then every other movie that is basically Taken.
And
that
even
he's
prior
made
to that,
since
like
then.
Death Wish was, that's kind of like
Yeah.
the.
But I
the
think this
original.
modern day incarnation of good actors becoming like action, like old man action actors. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a bit more,
That's specific to, I
Yeah.
think, the European market too, because action films translate well. Old stars still have currency in Europe, so I think
Yeah.
that is the specific target for that. So he's saying about is this a genre of films and the intrigue of the coins and the society, is that what elevates John Wick above those other films? Also, the fight choreography.
I think the
Yeah.
fight choreography, I think the mythology is ridiculous and doesn't actually like necessarily elevate it above other ridiculous mythologies, but there is something about I think the way they use the mythology in the mix in the John Wick films is the right amount. Like they never feel like that. I don't feel like they ever have the temptation to George Lucas style explain where midichlorians come from and how much force you can have. Like there's a real sense of like you pay with a gold coin,
Yeah.
which is worth whatever you need it to be worth at the time.
I mean, I think that's a good point. I think the reason why the John Wick films work maybe better is they don't take themselves seriously, like the Taken films and all that kind of stuff. Like it is very much a nod and a wink to the audience. Which is,
it's
like,
a heightened universe.
and that's why
I mean, the idea that there is, like, for example, a radio station that is doing live sort of commentary of like a hitman battle is a wink to the audience that this isn't,
And that's why the fourth one, I think, is easily the best.
Yeah.
Because they fully embrace the absurdity of it, and it's almost like a silent movie, like a Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin film in the physical comedy, like that sequence of him trying to get up the stairs.
It's amazing.
It's so
It's so
great.
good.
I love those films. On John Wick, someone wants to know if we have seen the very terrible Continental TV series. Is this the first misstep in the John Wick universe? That's from
Is
Troy.
it called the very terrible Continental?
No, that sounds like a Harry Potter sequel.
Harry
the
Potter
very terrible,
and the very terrible
Continental.
Continental Hotel.
I have not seen it,
Neither have I.
but I think that it's not. If no Keanu, no John Wick. That's what
No, I
say.
agree with that.
Because I know they're sort of setting up it'll be the other guy now, won't it? The dude with the shotgun from the last John Wick film, and the dog.
Oh yeah, okay.
John Wick's mate.
Yeah.
John Wick's mate, I believe, is what they're calling
I mean, I don't know if I have any interest outside
of Keanu.
John Wick himself.
No, and I also think too that it's not a strong enough universe that you can keep like spinning stuff off. The idea is very simple, it's very contained, and that's what makes it work.
Oh yeah, I only care about all the backstories of the various families and whatever, only in relation to Keanu Reeves, into John Wick.
John Wick.
Yeah.
But it is Keanu Reeves, and I think that's the most important part. Is we know that he's doing his own stunts. We know he's learnt jiu-jitsu. We've seen the videos of him at the shooting range.
What if they do like Joan Wick and they just do a reboot, like where it's a female action star?
No,
and it's
This is like Marvel Universe.
it's Melissa McCarthy.
We're gonna gender swap. We're gonna ethnic swap. We're gonna whatever we can do to keep this thing alive. No, just
Emma Stone.
Just
Emma
how about
Stone
this?
is
Come up with a
Joan
new
Wick.
concept,
Kathy
completely
Bates.
new concept. I'm sure there's plenty of like filmmakers out there with great ideas with like female leads. Let's make one of those.
Zendaya is Joan
Did you see?
Wick.
You haven't been watching any press, but they had the June 2 premiere the other day, and all the
June 2.
June.
No.
Not June.
Sorry,
Sorry, June
yes.
2.
I wasn't even doing a bit there. Like I literally thought you said June 2.
Dune 2.
Dune
Dune
2.
2.
Dune 2.
They premiered somewhere, and all the cast came out in like wacky, high, would you call it haute couture? Like, really crazy costumes. Like Zendaya was in like this. She looked like the robot from Metropolis.
Were they ones that like were
not related to June?
Not related to,
but I guess stylistically similar
in the Juniverse.
Well, just they looked futuristic and alien. But it was like Zendaya. Fuck, I don't know anything.
Zendaya.
Thank you. Zendaya was in this Tin Man outfit,
Yeah.
like with the butt cut out.
Yeah.
And it was like,
No butt.
well, I mean, there was a butt, but it was perspex, transparent buttocks, transparent
Okay.
perspex
Sure.
buttocks.
All right.
So I think
I don't feel like comfortable
A
with
Mike
that
is
hand movement.
she's furiously Googling an image to show you. This will help me explain
Okay.
what's going on.
All right.
But it was funny because I'm like, all right, so you've done a sci-fi movie and you want to promote the film. Like, whose decision was it? Because it wasn't just her; it was also Florence Pugh's in this like giant flowing thing, but then Josh Brolin just rocks up in a tuxedo or whatever it is.
He's
It's
like, I'm not here for this.
I'm
not joining in.
I'm not putting on a Tin Man costume or doing some like crazy. All right, can you look behind you?
All right. Oh. Yeah, I would have thought. If I saw that, I would have assumed that
It's a
was
costume from the film.
From the film.
Yeah, it must be like. Do you think she wears that on the red carpet and like?
Then what? Like
Then
to
waddles
dinner?
into the cinema and sits
Like,
down
sits
in her
there for the whole
Tin
movie.
Man costume, like
Just trying not to rustle.
yeah, or creak or squeak.
Because it's also, I imagine, an atmospheric, sparse moments in June, and it's like one of those things where.
I was like, I remember seeing an interview with. Do you remember Rose McGowan back when she was dating Marilyn Manson? She went to the Grammys or something, and she wore like just like a G-string and like a string dress that was completely transparent.
yeah, maybe.
And she spoke about like, she felt like hot and sexy on the red carpet and stuff. But then she sat down at the awards ceremony.
Yeah.
And she's like, after about 2 hours, you're like, ugh, I wish I wasn't wearing this.
I was wearing
It's quite,
tracksuit pants.
it's quite uncomfortable
Yeah.
to sit through the whole
Well,
time.
that's what I think about all fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, generally it's like, yeah, if you just need to get your photo taken for something, like then absolutely, I understand like dressing up in something nice, but then having to wear that thing. Oh,
Can I ask you
yes.
on that? So, like, I've just noticed, I don't know what I was watching, but like I saw this thing and it was like Adam Sandler and Will Ferrell and like maybe Zach Galifianakis. These comedy superstar dudes. And they were all dressed like the biggest slobs.
Yeah.
Like literally, if you had to like cast someone as like the worst dressed slob on the planet, like Will Ferrell was wearing like white socks and Birkenstocks with these like daggy shorts and like a bright yellow. Like it looked like he'd gone to a Goodwill bin and just drag out. Adam Sandler's in his like oversized tracksuit
his
pants and his
basketball.
sloppy...
He always likes to be ready to play basketball.
Yeah. And it's like, so
Yeah.
you've become a super successful comedian. Is it like do they like wearing that? Do they not care?
What do you mean?
Or is it a bit? Like, is it part of their, because it's so goofy and ugly and weird. Like,
I think it's probably a bit of all those things,
Right.
right? Like, I mean, it's comfortable. And so the message is that I am a comfortable person. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I can do what I want. I don't like conform to the norms of, how I need to be successful in society. It's like the Joker's uniform in the King's Court. Like it differentiates you from the people who are taking themselves too seriously. There's something about being dressed up that immediately adds that level of authority or someone taking themselves seriously, which you can play with as a comedian.
yeah.
But like,
There is a little something, I guess you're right, because whenever you see like comedy festival posters
yeah.
and some comedians like tried to look like a rock star,
Yeah.
you're always like, I don't know about this. I don't know. I'm willing to laugh at you. You don't seem funny to me.
Well, I mean, there are people who have used that as their image and can play off it, but
Like
then
Eddie's,
then you have to kind of, I think,
Eddie
carry that
Murphy.
into your real life a bit in your fashion and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, you would
You'd
expect,
be well dressed
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, I reckon the one who's done a really good job of being able to comfortable down his fashion while still keeping a sense of having kooky fashion is Noel Fielding. I don't know if you don't know Noel.
I know
Noel,
who he is,
Yeah,
but-
right. So Noel used to be.
I believe he's in The Boosh.
Noel used to the Mighty Boosh.
The Mighty
Oh
Boosh.
yeah, okay. So Noel used to be like very peacocked in his appearance,
Yeah.
Whereas like what he's done very well
He was
as
the
he's
king of the
got
mods.
older is he's just got more and more comfortable and loose fitting, but still with the same sort of
modish hair.
yeah, style and whatever. And I'm just like lots of bigger cardigans and stuff now. And I'm like, you've done a good
Well,
job.
your look
of,
is morphed over the years.
Yeah.
You're very like nail polish and thongs and almost ravey when I first met you. Like you had a
Yes.
lot of rave type clothes
It's
on.
true.
And now you've sort of morphed into comedy Batman. I guess. A lot of black. Lots of black and street clothes. Like when Basic came along, you were like perfect,
Yeah,
high
this is
fashion
good.
comfort clothes,
Exactly.
super expensive
Super
tracksuit
expensive
pants.
tracksuits.
That's what I want to wear.
Tracksuits that I can, like, I mean, I like clothes too that hide the myriad of sins that my body possesses, right? Like, like if you have a good body, you want something that shows off your body. Whereas I want something that hides the true shape of my body, that no one could really.
You want misdirection.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
look at this. It's a triangle here.
I
with a
want the
square there.
clothes to hang like they're meant to, regardless of what's going on underneath of them. And I think that like, yes, I do
You
definitely.
know who does that, Will? Muji. It all comes back to Muji. Look, I think we'll wrap it up there. That is TOFOP for this week. Will, you're on tour at the moment?
I mean, do you have this idea with Muji? I just need to point out. Is this like an attempt to get?
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, can you imagine?
They don't need us.
We're bulk recording. I mean, I think we'd only bring the brand down, is honestly the truth.
Well, I don't know. I saw like Broden Kelly was modeling the other day, like a new Australian label, and he looked quite good. And I was like, oh, there's something kind of brave about you taking someone who you wouldn't ordinarily associate with fashion and putting them in there. To me, it's like, oh, I feel that's a confident brand. Like you are so confident what you've done. You can take someone who's not like a model and make them, your spokesperson. So if Muji have got the balls
I mean, it'd be
to take us on,
It'd be
you would
great.
love it.
It'd be so great if like we became like the Hamish and Andy of Muji.
Yeah.
Right?
Next
Like,
episode, you see we're just all mooched up. We're
just
covered in the
all
mooge.
public experience. We're dressing in Muji for these records. Like we have different Muji outfits because we bulk record. It'd actually be a good sponsorship, right?
Yeah.
If we could just get like 4 different Muji outfits for every, like, so that when
That's
we're
all we
recording
need.
4 in a row,
Yeah.
we get into our different Mujis.
Yeah.
There's one here right in the building.
Yeah.
So we can just go
Did
and
you
pick
see it?
We can go and but we
'cause
can go and
yeah.
pick up the Muji,
Yeah.
right? Drop back the Muji later in the day.
No, I
Don't
keep
even.
it.
I mean, you can have a deal
it's-
where you can get
okay.
some Muji on the side.
Okay,
but
right.
I'm just
Just for the purpose of the show.
saying each week
Yeah, that's
we
right.
could like have
They must have new releases.
we could literally have over the year we could have a different Muji outfit every week.
Yeah.
Dressed by Muji.
There was a
exclusively
dude in the
dressed by
store
Muji.
who was wearing, I guess it's kind of like a modern take on traditional Japanese.
Yeah.
It was like a dress,
Yeah.
like a skirt, like it was like like a samurai skirt. And he looked so confident walking around in this it was like raw denim kind of skirt. And I'm like, I want to wear that. So
No,
next episode,
that's what
make
Muji
sure you
needs.
subscribe to our
you in a
Patreon.
raw denim skirt.
Patreon.com/
I mean, the
everyone
best.
relax.
I would be into it.
Yeah, me too.
If Muji want to get on board,
Have you worn a skirt? It's so comfy. Like I've worn kilts.
want a kilt,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so good. So comfortable.
I mean, we're willing to do it. If you're a cool, hip Japanese brand who'd like to sully your name by putting 2 middle-aged white men in skirts
For our
their
podcast.
podcast.
Okay. All right. Do you promote your show?
Oh,
Plug.
yeah.
Let people know
It's
where
called
they-
Wil Legitimate. It's on tour all over Australia, comedy.com.au.
and links in the episode description. That's TOFOP for this week. I'm Charlie Clausen.
Oh, well, there's